Welcome everybody to Forza Horizon 4 and not Cyberpunk 2077 as we look at a car from that game, the 2058 Quadra Turbo R VTEC. Now in terms of the game lore, this was produced between 2055 and 2062 in the new USA as well as the city Detroit, and with this improved VTEC version that was introduced in 2058, it came with an improved exhaust system and suspension, and details outside of that really are a bit sketchy, but I love the look of this vehicle. It's what's called as kitsch style in the game, which is basically like kind of a nostalgia for a time long by, pretty much looking like the 80s, or at least the 80s view of what the future would look like. And I love the look of the car. It really does look like part of the world, because obviously part of the world of Cyberpunk is about modifying yourself in a lot of ways, which means like adding stuff to you, and this car pretty much looks like it's had parts added to it. These jet intakes, for instance, look like a aftermarket kind of thing, as well as these rear fenders with the bolts being exposed, and it just really looks nice, and it's also highly detailed as well with all of the stickers on it, and the nice paintwork, and it just looks great. To be honest, it really does look like a car from the future in a lot of ways, but it's not a car that is unfamiliar in a lot of ways either, because it's got a decent sized boot. Put in there whatever you want, drugs, guns, whatever you're going to be using in that game, and the doors are superb as well. They fold out like that. I would love a car that had doors like that, to be honest. Just love the action that it has, and it's also got a pretty formidable engine. Now I'm not entirely sure if it's a 4.4 litre twin turbocharged V10 or a 4.4 litre twin turbocharged V8. It sounds like a V10, but then some people have said that the original Turbo R in the game lore was a V8, so it could be either. But either way, it is a car that has 607 horsepower and 560 pounds-feet of torque, which is quite a lot either way, no matter what the engine is. And it's also got all-wheel drive, a 7-speed automatic gearbox, and the widest tyres I've ever seen on any vehicle ever, to be honest. They look absolutely insanely large, but that does at least mean that it's got all of the grip in the world, aided as well by the extremely large front tyres, and obviously the fact it's all-wheel drive. Plus, it only weighs 2,756 pounds. It has 45% weight up front and 55% weight up in the rear, which is pretty decent. I think it's well balanced in that regard because of the all-wheel drive and the fact it's got such large rear tyres, as well as the spoiler there, which will help keep the car at the rear on the ground. And in terms of interior, it's also really rather well detailed as well. And we can get in, there we go. And it's got a really rather nifty steering wheel. You got a screen, I imagine, and radio, and there's your automatic gearbox there. I'm pretty sure it's automatic, but it could also easily be a manual. And it looks a bit Spartan, but it's all of it's there for in terms of what it's going to be used in the game. Not really entirely sure. Oh, actually, it might be a manual. It's got a clutch by the looks of it, so it's definitely a manual, which is good. 7-speed manual gearbox is not something that you would likely see today, so that is obviously a little bit futuristic in that regard. But nonetheless, let's get out onto the open road and see what this car can do. So as you'd imagine, all-wheel drive, all of that horsepower and torque, and the fact it doesn't weigh all that much means that this car is really rather quick. But before we get to that, I'll let you listen to the engine, see if you think it's a V10 or a V8. I personally think it's a V10. It sounds like one, and it's not out of the realm of possibility to have a small cubic capacity V10. A Lexus LFA has only 400 extra cc's than this, and that also has a V10, so it is possible, but nonetheless, I'll let you hear it first. It could be either or, to be honest. it could be a V8 that's muted by the twin turbochargers, but it also could be a V10. I'll pin a comment on this video in the comment section when I find out the facts for sure, but because this has only been released today in this game, and the Cyberpunk game itself has only been out a few days, details are still a bit sketchy in terms of car specifics, so or specifications even. So yeah, but nonetheless, this is still a really rather quick car, and yeah, handles great as well. Can do 0 to 16 3.250 seconds. Can do 0 to 108 and 6.850 seconds, and go to a top speed of 203 miles an hour. But despite all of the grip and the all-wheel drive, you can still make a mess of it like I do. But yeah, really rather quick, and it handles great as well, and it's easily one of the more fun cars to drive. But if you're thinking, oh, a car from another game being introduced into a Forza game is a bit stupid and a bit one-off, well, we have 2 cars from Final Fantasy 15 in this game already, and we have the Warthog from the Halo series already, and even in Forza Motorsport 6, I think it was, we had a car from Fallout 4, I think it was a Chrysler Rocket 69 or something like that. So yeah, we've had plenty of cars from other games in the Forza series before, and to be honest, I'm glad that we also have this in as well, because one thing that is appealing to me from the Cyberpunk game is the fact that the cars are so varied, so well detailed, and yeah, so unique to that game world. A lot of open world games, either in the future or in the present, are obviously have their cars based on current cars, or are current cars. So yeah, it's nice to see that a game has completely removed itself from the real car world, and yeah, done their own thing. And yeah, this is a glorious little car to have, and it's all free as well. You only have to do a head-to-head race in this game, and you get it. You don't even have to have bought Cyberpunk itself, so yeah, that's really nice as well. So yeah, cracking car, well worth getting, and yeah, you can massively upgrade this as well, as you will see in a future video from me. But nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.